So what we're making today is my absolute favorite pumpkin soup. If you love pumpkin, this is definitely a soup for you. I make it with roasted pumpkin that I season first. Brings out great flavor, and you can easily adjust it with a little more salt, a little more spice, or however you like. And then we finish it in the pot. We blend it smooth and add cream, add cheese. You can even add a little bit more cheese if you like. I love sharp cheddar because it adds even more flavor and that little bite. So if you love pumpkin, this is definitely a soup for you. It's perfection. So good. Let's make it. All right, let's cook. What am I missing? Ah, there it is. Okay, we're gonna start with our pumpkin. Now, before we cut into it, I wanna take a minute just to tell you what kind of pumpkin we have to use. For cooking, what you want to use is something called a pot pumpkin, sometimes called a sugar pumpkin, but it's basically a pumpkin made for cooking. It is not the same pumpkin that you're going to use for carving. Those are only grown to be big and to be carved. They are tasteless and they're really not meant for cooking. So look for pot pumpkin, sugar pumpkin, or cooking pumpkin. It will be named something like that at the store. So what you want to do first is pop off the top. The top is very hard, so depending on how big or small the stem is, you still want to get rid of it because it's very hard to cut through. So normally what we can do is simply pop it off, but since mine is so tiny, I just cut it off. Now, you know what is absolutely beautiful about cooking with pumpkin is pumpkin seeds. I can simply run my hand through it and get all these wonderful pumpkin seeds out. Save them, roast them while you're enjoying your soup, so you have a nice snack for later. But for the soup, we're only going to use the meat. So you want to scrape all of that out. Again, save your pumpkin seeds. Okay, so I got all my pumpkin seeds out. I'm gonna save them and roast them later. I'll actually make you another video for that. So now what we have left is the membrane. And that is very easy to take care of. You simply scraping that out from the pumpkin until the membrane is gone. If there are a couple little strains left, that's not a big deal really. Okay, as you can see, we got the membrane out. So now we're going to peel it. Why is it a good idea to peel the pumpkin after you empty it? Is because this part right here gets slippery after you peel it. And trying to hold on to the pumpkin and scrape out the membrane while it's slippery, it's just not as much fun as I want to have in the kitchen. Alrighty, pumpkin is all peeled and jumping all over me. So now we got two beautiful pumpkin halves we can chop and roast. All right. Okay, so why do we need to roast the pumpkin before adding it to the soup? Why can't we just throw it in the pot? Well, I'll tell you why. Because roasting it in the oven first will bring out beautiful natural caramelization, which is just the sugars coming out, and it's going to get nice and toasty. So when you throw it in the pot, then you're just going to steam most of that pumpkin. Not a lot of the caramelization will be able to get out because not a lot will reach the bottom of the pan, which is where the searing happens. And if you put it all at the same time into the pan, you're just going to steam the pumpkin. Making it in batches in the pot, it's going to be kind of a pain. So quick, simple, put it all in the oven, roast it for 30 minutes, and then pop it in the pot. That's the easiest way to do it. So I like to also throw a couple of carrots with my pumpkin because, well, why not? Extra vitamins, they're delicious. So the one thing that I don't roast, and that is really a personal preference, is the onions. Because I personally don't like how the onions roast in the oven. I prefer them sauteed in the pot. it's going to get beautiful sauteed with butter. Okay, let's talk garlic. So we're going to roast garlic right in the shells. So we're just gonna cut off the little butts. That way they get heat in through the shells and air out. I'm gonna pop them right on the baking sheet. Leave them in the shells. All right, let's get our carrots and pumpkin nice and tasty. So you want to add a little bit of avocado oil. You can use vegetable oil, canola oil. Just make sure it's oil that can stand up to high heat. Then what I have is salt, pepper, paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, and a little cayenne. You can adjust the salt and cayenne pepper and even black pepper to your own personal taste. It's about what tastes good to you. Take our lovely prepared baking sheet and spread our veggies in it. Now you want to make sure they're spread in one even layer so the heat gets to all of them evenly. Try to create some space if you can. And then grab your garlic cloves and just kind of nestle them in whenever you see space in between. Going to get nicely roasted. Let's put it in the oven. So our veggies are going to go in the oven at 425 for about 30 minutes. Just watch them and see how nicely they're getting browned. But if you see them burning, obviously pop them out. You don't want to burn. All right, now you can get some sides, some wine, some coffee, some tea, or just sit and read a book. Okay, it smells so good, and the only way I can prove it to you is if you make the soup at home and smell it. Oh my God. Look at how lovely it is. Yum. All right, I've preheated my pot, so we're gonna add some butter. When that's melted, we're gonna add some onion. Okay, now this part is easy peasy. We're just going to saute our onions. Doing this left-handed is not easy. Once the onions are nicely browned, we're going to add our roasted vegetables. And then it's just 10 minutes until the soup is ready. Now what I'm going to do is stir them with butter and leave them undisturbed. What that will do is make sure that we get a nice caramelization, and the browning is going to add more flavor to the soup. Now is a good time to pop our garlic out of their shells so it's ready to go into the soup when the onions are. Ooh, this is beautiful, nicely golden brown. Yum, this is great. All right, let's let our pumpkin in. This doesn't have to cook long because guess what? It's all already cooked. So we're just going to add our stock. Enough to cover. You don't want to add too much because you cannot take away, but you can always add more. So you're just going to heat it through, let it simmer for just like a minute. And then we're going to blend it. All right, so my favorite two options for blending is soup is a stand-up blender and an immersion blender. Great part about immersion blender is that you don't need any extra dishes. You just blend it right in the pot, easy peasy. The negative is that sometimes it leaves chunks behind and doesn't get them all. So if you really hate to get chunks in your blended soup, you got to be very careful and you may have to blend a little more. Great part about the stand-up blender is that it does not leave any chunks, but it creates an extra dish that you need to get. What you have to make sure of is that your blender is heat proof or your glass will crack. So you choose whichever one you like based on your needs or preferences. Okay, I went with the stand-up blender because I don't want any chunks. Now I do want to mention that if you are going to be using immersion blender, make sure to take the pot off heat. If you're going with a heat-proof blender, make sure you open the top so the steam can escape. Okay, now that we transferred our soup back, we want to make sure to set our heat to low setting, and then we add our heavy cream and our cheese. And you simply stir it all together until it's beautifully smooth and the cheese is melted and it's all ready to garnish and devour. Oh man, is this gorgeous or what? Yum. I love to serve the soup with something crunchy since it's so rich and creamy. So grab some croutons or crackers or pumpkin seeds, add a little sour cream, and enjoy. Get the recipe at localforsmiles.com. Make it, you won't regret it.